God's honest truth. Folks, so many people, largely corrupt Democrats, the left, the lovers of constitutional monarchies, dirty, filthy, radical Americans. Yes, this highlights Minnesota. Even a former wrestler turned actor that I thought I liked years ago, kind of like Robert De Niro. All lunatic. Let's look at Hollywood. There is a movie called With Honors from the 90s. Joe Pesci plays a bum, an educated bum, and he explodes on a university professor, another wingding, a left nutcase. And it's so funny, the left put that out there in the 90s, an absolute truth. I've tried to explain this a million times. I've used many analogies. The President of the United States, when it comes to treaties, all foreign powers, all non-Americans, is a Hercules, a Goliath, a King Kong, a Godzilla, whatever you want to say. President has massive powers outside of the United States of America. Inside the United States of America, President is a bum, if you want to use that analogy, or President is a mouse. That's the one I like. They do not have any excessive powers beyond any of that of any American who can be as low in class and in life as a bum on the street. President can't do anything more to someone who's homeless than a homeless could do to him or her. That's America. That's the Constitution. President can't interfere in the rights, or at least take away the rights of any American citizen, no matter what. There's been massive amounts of U.S. Supreme Court rulings on any actions of a president to reduce any American's rights, no matter how evil these people are. President has no authority. President will be impeached if they proceed with such. That's it. That's all, folks. Nothing more to say. This idea that the president can go, hey, that guy's a pedophile. I'm going to grab him from the island or country he escaped to. I'm going to bring him home and I'm going to hold him to justice. Not happening. Not possible. Can't happen. It's already been tried many, many times, and many, many losses every single time in American history. Can an American give rights to can a president give rights to Americans? Sure. They're well established in the Constitution. Presidential pardons, presidential clemency, that's it. President does have the rights, as do all U.S. governors, to grant all kinds of rights to people in America who may have lost their rights through judicial process. That's it. President can giveth, but can never taketh away. It's called check and balance. They give president powers to give rights as a check and balance to mistakes made by a judicial system, usually when the people all rally together. Have presidents abused that at times? Sure. I know of even President Trump abusing it for one serious case I didn't like. America's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than anything you're going to find out in the world. There is nothing comparable to America out there in the world when it comes to your fundamental rights, your right to absolutely life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, equality of the person. All these lunatic Americans, you will lose all of that coming to Canada. Minnesota wants to be a province, at least by lunatic Democrats, they're not going that way. It's a handful of losers. And you know what? They're never going to go that way. If you're a person who really believed, and these same lunatics who talk about Epstein, Trump's not there. There's a mass pile of what were child victims of that Epstein ring. And in fact, there's so much more globally, way beyond Epstein. We saw some of that treated in Canada only because of the fall of Epstein. Peter Nygard, who predated Epstein and went a long time after Epstein. In Canada, it's all fine for that class. It's still all fine for all the global royals, all the crown elites, all the first class of monarchials, and many civil law socialist pure unitary states. Europe, legal age of girls, 15, right? Oh, that's okay. You know, parents don't have rights because we took them away. Oh, we want your daughter to get into modeling, international modeling. Do you know how many girls get into basic child pedophile rings through that exploit? Fucking tens and tens of thousands a year. Nothing ever happens. Nothing's ever talked about it. They have these statistics. Parents lose them, especially in poverty. It's only because of Epstein Peter Nygard was taken down in Canada. Only because of that build-up from America, how much pressure was put on Canada. There's still hundreds of those things out there. And because age of consent, age of majority, maturity, age of adulthood, ages vary, even in provinces in Canada. Alberta now has the lowest, where you can do sex traffic children, even altering their sex, right, at age 15. Alberta's the worst in Canada. BC, as left and winging as it is, yes, the TED conferences, all of that. I'll be going into all of this, but their age of majority, age of adulthood, 19. So Alberta's that much further behind. U.S. states, the lowest age, 19 years old. These models who were trafficked by Epstein, ranging from ages 15, and then there's even stories of younger. That's the stuff blacked out. Not to protect Trump or anybody else. Largely, they already know. And there's a few more on the list. And there's still, I think, 3 million documents to come out. And a lot of what came out's blackened out only because of the victims. And already a pile of victims are upset. Because can you imagine having moved on in your life? Everybody. Can you imagine as a younger adult or approaching 30, and you've got a dark secret where you were basically raped by 50 to 60-year-old rich, wealthy men, sex traffic on an illusion of Hollywood and dreams of modeling. You were taken away from your parents. Whole family knows, but you really don't want people to know. You don't want to be identified. You've moved on. You've had families. You're trying to keep all that under wraps. And all of a sudden there's pictures of you with royalty as a young teen child being raped. You know? Can you imagine? Can you imagine that, folks? Now you got to explain to your husband, the whole in-laws, everybody, your family, your community, your neighbors. Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, I didn't want anyone to know. The humiliation. Your kids go to school. Wow, that was your mom? Think about that. In America, all citizens are equal. Right now, 20 Canadian miners out in Mexico. Cartels got them. Rebel nut job organizations. I had a friend years ago in the oil field offshore. They came out on a boat, shot everybody, kidnapped 15 of them. My buddy was one of them. Every day they blow someone away. He got, I don't have permission to say his name, so I'm just going to use his nickname, Barnesy, okay? He's got all kinds of neurological disorders. He had a parasitic infection. He's a big guy, bigger than me, heavy set, strong. But that experience over the over 42 days they had him, lost unbelievable amounts of weight. He drank out of the troughs made by the trucks that come through the jungle. He watched people get brutalized, beaten, murdered. He got hit, slapped around too. Canadian government, they made them hold up signs and pre-read things. I am okay, I'm good. You can see they're not okay. Like anyone with common sense, the Canadian government, oh no, we've talked to them, telling the families and friends, it's all good, they're safe. It was actually that oil field that my buddy worked for that paid the ransom and got them back. Canadian government didn't do anything. We are replaceable subjects here. It's not like America where there's the power of president to go in like what he did in Venezuela with Maduro. That's the power of president to launch military action to get Americans back. It's why Americans generally aren't targeted, but certainly subjects from constitutional monarchies always are. And if you're lucky, you'll make it back as a Canadian. Most often it's at your own way or your own financial to get out. The Canadian government will never, ever help you in these situations. You're an easily replaced third-class subject. You're not worth shit. And you know what? There's even journalists who will tell you that. I've got some stories on a couple of journalists. You know, the most recent with China, which is a big deal what we're going through and what they went through. And they know your government doesn't care two shits about Canadian subjects. Third, second class for sure. Now, if it's crown first class, Warren, oh, they will move mountains, but they'll also move mountains to provide unlimited access to third and savage class citizens. Rape, pillage, plunder, do whatever you like. You're immune to any kind of real prosecution or any kind of penalty. It's a reality of Canada. And any American who thinks that's a better way to live and Canadians got it great, just remember right now today, Canada with both political parties says in their absolute crushed economy, massive tax system, just cut all the taxes for specific class of subjects, 12 million third-class Canadians who can't afford to eat. We're 41 million people, so think about that. More than 25% of Canadians can't afford to eat. 25% of Canadians can't afford to eat. So the government says, well, we're going to get another set of 12 million working Canadians to pay and make up for that. Can you imagine America? And so the rich get rich, the crown, and the poverty class grows. It's bigger than the working class Canadians, viable working class Canadians. They have full control, autocratic control over the lives of all what you call working class that's not even defined with middle class. America, you define your middle class, absolutely. You set your old age security to that. You set massive things to that. Americans think the Canadians got something great going on here. Well, imagine if tomorrow the government in power in the United States said, oh God, we got to cut all the taxes for half of the American class, like 72 million Americans, and all the 68 working million Americans have to pay for it. And then, of course, those rich and elite sit back and they're like, we'll run all the programs sponsored by the tax-paying American workers. Thanks, suckers. That's how Canada's run for a very, very long time. And year after year, whichever government we elect, nothing like even remotely close to the most radical of left Democrats. Not even remotely close. And why? Because even in their rhetoric, they can't make you subjects. There are checks and balances. Even with their bullshit, they can't get it enacted. It's impossible. Well, in Canada, it's the opposite. Whatever they say they can do, whatever they say and lie about and do the opposite, they can do. There's zero accountability. They can go to the furthest extremes of human rights violations in this country, Canada, any day of the week they want. They can put out what's called a War Measures Act, emergency measures now, whenever you get out of line. And we're all unarmed. Militias have always been illegal in Canada, and even as British North America. You, America, followed the ways of the North American Indian, where you would never give away the security of the person. And just so everybody knows the saying, for First Peoples, you should know this. It's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. That's a North American Indian truth, as it was always them, forever and a day. And they're more than 10 and tens of thousands of year history when we get into the Siberian crossing, which I'm going to do a major presentation for everybody to know. It's a beautiful thing, America. It's a beautiful truth of at least one group of human beings that developed a really good natural law system. And we're very blessed in the world today to have the United States of America as they are, and to have them really the highest pillar of the world stage, at least for now. Can you imagine if it was Britain? Can you imagine that we wouldn't even talk about Jeffrey Epstein, because there'd be hundreds of thousands of those kind of rings all over the world for all the rich and elite, and it would be a hell of a lot more than 12 million Canadians who can't afford to eat. Think about that. Think about that. But go ahead, blame Donald Trump. It's all his fault, even though there's no constitutional truth or precedent in all Supreme Court decisions going back 200 years in U.S. history of any president being able to stop any American citizen or remove any of their rights. Impossible. But yet Americans from the radical left talk like this. They get on pulpits. They were going non-stop on Epstein. But look who's getting called to testify now after just this batch of document releases. Certainly not Donald J. Trump. It's who? Bill and Hillary Clinton. Make America subjects again. I know that if the Democrats were to win a federal election, I could likely be banned from entering the United States under a radical Democrat presidency. That is entirely possible. I'm not stupid to the idea that president is mouse and then Godzilla on the world stage, which includes any subject. And I could pay for that AI I did that really caused them havoc. And I'm proud I did it because it's the truth. Proven over the last 24 hours as more and more comes out from those documents. And now we see Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. I'm glad I did what I did. And I don't regret it, because I'll always put my children first, even if I don't have those rights or have the rights over my children, because my foolish fellow Canadian subjects who just love the crown. Oh, but conservatives, so great. Yeah? Give away the rights of parents over their children. They're so great, eh? So great, like the furthest reaches of the most inhumanity known to mankind. The kind of stuff that was highlighted in the UN Charter, what the allies of World War II, even Canadian veterans gave their lives to stop, is now law in this country. It's been law since 1994, really. By the time it went through Parliament, it was enacted in a bill. But, like I said, Brian Mulroney, pulpit 1989, leading the charge. Let's get this done. I can't wait to get me some of those kids. And it is basically the Canadian Indian Act over the First Peoples since 1876, but now a global law for all subjects worldwide. Only country not bound or capable of losing those citizen rights is the United States of America. It's the only country in the world. Everybody else gives their political class that right to parents and absolutely the parental powers over their children. They can giveth and taketh away, which means they can have at your kids as much as they want, and there's no way to hold them to account. That's my video. That's the truth. Get it out there. Get it shared. Look at all the monarchical groups involved here. 6 of the 9 kingdoms I've talked about extensively for years. 6 of those monarchical families, all through the Epstein files. if we could get the Peter Nygard files, if we were able to even launch a similar investigation as the United States, which we can't because we're under the UN Convention on the Rights of a Child. We can't hold anyone to account, can't investigate them. Water under the bridge. Water under the bridge. Crown can do whatever they want. If you think it's all ended with Jeffrey Epstein, you're wrong. At least for America, it's looking good, but nowhere else in the world is it remotely even dented or stopped. It's just a matter of how many American children are exposed to that system. Anyways, everybody, that's my video. God bless. Do the right thing. Get it shared out. People need to know. Bye now.